First at 5, a 19-year-old man convicted of kidnapping and raping multiple women with the aid of social media and dating apps was sentenced to prison.
Fox 12's McKenna Marks was in the courtroom and joins us live after speaking with the prosecutor on this case. McKenna, what did she tell you?
Yeah, Pete, Nora, well, Damani Anderson was sentenced to 45 years in prison today. Now, before the judge handed out his sentence, the court also heard from multiple victims. And like you said, I was able to speak to the prosecutor on this case, and she tells me if it wasn't for the bravery of these victims, Anderson likely wouldn't have received such a lengthy sentence.
You're going to prison for a very long time.
Over a year and a half after he was arrested on rape and kidnapping charges, 19-year-old Damani Anderson was sentenced to 45 years in prison. Anderson was arrested in August of 2024, and the Multnomah County District Attorney's Office says multiple adult and juvenile women, including a 13-year-old, came forward.
We shouldn't let ourselves get too far removed from the fact that these are real things that happen to real people. And this case begs for that reminder. That very real, very terrifying things happen to very young people at the hands of Damani Anderson.
Police say Anderson would find his victims on social media or dating apps and convince them to meet him in a secluded area. Then, police say Anderson would hold his victims at gunpoint before assaulting them.
I am so sorry this happened to you.
Prosecutor Robin Skarsdad says it's because of the victims that came forward that the Portland community is now a little safer.
Because this was an individual who was on a path of reoffending. To my assessment, his attacks were getting more violent, and the fact that they were willing to come forward at great personal cost to themselves to keep the rest of the community safe is really meaningful.
Man, guys is going out bad. Like, going out real sad. 19 years old, sentenced to 45 years in prison. I mean, he's not looking to get out until he's in his 60s. And just the most horrible stuff as far as rape of women and young teens and, utilizing social media and dating apps to, lure these people to become victims. And if this is the society that we're going to be living in, we got to hold these kind of guys accountable, no matter the age. And I got several videos that I'll be releasing here over the next few days of situations of a similar nature. So I'm not sure what gets into these guys' heads, whether they don't have the confidence to go out and try to find them someone to deal with, or, if they just have some type of, like something in their brain that just wants them to have what they want right then. I'm not sure what it is, man, but, very sick, very weird. And, these type of guys don't really have a place in society like this. So, 45 years, every one of those years would be deserved if he serves them all. And it's just crazy, man, at 19 to throw away your whole life like that because, you want to take something from a woman or, a child, without their consent. And again, I got several stories about stuff like this, but it's just like, it just really doesn't make any sense to why, a guy, especially that young, would have to do something of this nature. It just doesn't really make too much sense.
Anderson was facing more than 40 charges connected to 5 different rape cases. Last week, He pleaded guilty to 12 charges.
As to count one, then, in case number 24 CR 41664, which charges you with the crime of rape in the first degree with a firearm, how do you wish to plead? Guilty. As to count four, then, in the same case, which charges you with the crime of kidnapping in the first degree with a firearm, how do you wish to plead? Guilty.
In court on Thursday, many of Anderson's victims shared their impact statements with the judge, detailing how their lives have changed since they were attacked, including one of the victims' mothers.
This is not something that heals. It is not something that fades with time. This damage and the discomfort she will always feel will move into every relationship we will ever have.
And Skarstad says it's thanks to the victims who came forward that justice was served.
These victims who came today to send that message about this is what coming forward looks like, that you can get justice, if not relief, is a message that I hope will encourage others to do that and continue to make our environment safer.
Anderson was also required to register as a sex offender and also received a sentence of 20 years of post-prison supervision. Reporting live from downtown Portland, McKenna Marks, Fox 12 Oregon.
So in essence, even after the fact of, serving your prison sentence, it's going to be 20 years of supervised, released. So, this guy's going to be under, supervision or some type of incarceration, pretty much for the rest of his life. And, well deserved, man, for as heinous of a crime as, has been committed here. And, yeah, man, I don't know what's up with these guys, man. These guys just going out real sad. And it's just like, if you have to do all that to, get what you desire, man, you just might want to, stay to yourself, lay low, because it's kind of hard giving advice, to people like this, because again, you don't know what type of mental state they're in. But it doesn't matter what type of mental state you're in. It doesn't really excuse the things that you've done to these victims. And, then they had to build up the courage to come into this courtroom, stand in front of people who, they really don't know, total room full of strangers. And also, you being the person who perpetrated these crimes against them, and they had to give impact statements. Basically detailing how, their life has been ripped apart from this whole ordeal. So, well deserved. And, people like this, man, they should never see the light of day. But I'm gonna wrap this one up here. Just wanted to kind of bring this story to light. And, he pled guilty to several of the charges that were raised against him. And 19 years old, man. 45 years, and then an additional 20 years of supervision. It's not worth it. It's just really not worth it at the end of the day. But go ahead to close out. If you like my content, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. This is Justin Paul. Peace.